In Ottawa, if you bring up Bruce Baker, they will say, he was a good player for the 67s, drafted kind of high. But in Montreal, we consider him a top five worst first round draft pick in history. Now, he was taken 18th overall in a 1976 NHL amateur draft after a very successful final season with Ottawa where he scored 31 goals. The Ottawa 67 was a very good Ontario Hockey League team. Now, why I have a problem with this, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about Matvichuk, the goaltender from 1970. You look at the players that Montreal could have taken other than him. Okay? Let's just talk about this. I'm not going to talk about much about his stats. Okay, Greg Malone, Brian Sutter, the great defenseman Reed Larson, Bob Mano, which was a very underrated player, Randy Carlyle, Mike Kazicki, who was, again, very underrated as a player, Mike Kitchen, Tom Rowe, Mike McEwen, who, underrated and overrated at the same time, Thomas Gradine, Morris Lukowicz, just goes on and on. Warren Young, very underrated player, Kent Nielsen. Can you imagine? So when they took Baker, we said to himself, oh yeah, Mike Eaves was also available. They're a good defensive player. When Baker was taken, 76, was an interesting draft, and I tell you why. At the top of it, you had Rick Green, Blair Chapman, Glenn Sharpley, Fred Williams, Donnie Murdoch, Bernie Federico was there, Buddy Kluche was there. Now, Montreal had 3 picks in the top 18. Maybe they were wasting a pick. But they could have made a trade, ladies and gentlemen, for Buddy Kluche. They could have made a trade for Bernie Federico. Federico ended up more than point a game and, Hall of Fame career. Baker did nothing in Nova Scotia over 4 years. But he was drafted by the Calgary Cowboys of the WHA, so he had interest with 2 leagues. It would have been better for him to basically, he could have just went with Calgary in the WHA. But 71 points in the OHA for Ottawa doesn't deserve a number 1 draft pick. Top 5, maybe? Top 6? And the season he played with Nova Scotia, he did virtually nothing. He had his best season was first with 36 points. So, an 18th overall, maybe because they had 3 number 1s in the top 20, all the great trades, but there's no way Bruce Baker should have been drafted. He should have traded the pick, got maybe an established player. For God's sake, the year before, they were playing Don Orey of all people. He could have got a 7th defenseman. He could have, Randy Carlyle, I talk about Toronto Maple Leaf players that they drafted and, players that ended up with other teams. Randy Carlyle would have been a good fit for Montreal. Come on. So it's like missing out on Darryl Sittler for 1970. I don't think the Montreal Canadiens really had Sittler on their mind, but Toronto did. So that was one of the few years where Toronto outthought, Montreal. So Bruce Baker, like I said, 9 seasons on the major level. Congratulations on that, but no way should Montreal have used a number 1 on him, a number 3 or number 4. So can't be too angry because there wasn't much room in Montreal, was there? We've been talking that in podcasts. Have a good evening. Bye.